So hello my friends, Devon Lennox here, PhotographyPX. In today's video, we're gonna go behind the scenes for an exclusive interview with a top hairstylist here in Las Vegas. All right, so here we are. This is Rizzie, and we've worked together a number of times now. This is probably our, I don't know, 6th or 7th, maybe 8th shoot, something like that. It's been a lot of shoots. So this is definitely not the first rodeo, but I wanted her, since she's on set right now and she's doing the behind the scenes, she's styling the hair right now for the shoot that we're currently doing. I wanted to kind of get an opportunity to kind of ask her some questions on, her mindset and her thoughts when it comes to, us reaching out to a hairstylist if we're kind of new and stuff like that. What does she kind of really think, and what's kind of her mindset? What are some of the tips and tricks that she's learned through her experience? So the first question I want to ask, what do you look for when you're reaching out to a new photographer? So like originally when I reached out to you, it was just through Instagram.
Right.
I don't even remember how I found you, but I found you some way through Instagram. It might have been a referral, I'm not really sure. But like, when someone reaches out to you initially, or you're looking for a new photographer, what kind of stuff do you look at? If it's gonna be our Instagram or a portfolio, or is it through referrals? Like what do you kind of normally look at when you're
honestly, yeah, referrals and looking at their portfolio. So social media is huge. I think that's really important that photographers have that, tool, and then also have some type of, other tool, like whether it be a website or actually like send me like what they have like on file or whatever, just a screenshot of that. And then, if I like vibe with their brand or like the creation of like what they've done in the past.
Okay, so that's what you're mostly looking at. Okay, looking at portfolio. So that kind of brings up a good point. It's like, and this is kind of going to dovetail into a question I have further on, but what happens if the photographer's kind of new? So like they just picked up a camera and they're just like, oh my God, like this is my first shoot. I heard that I need a hairstylist on set to make sure I have better images, because it makes a huge difference. Right. Having hair, makeup, wardrobe styling, prop styling, creative direction, all that stuff makes a difference, adds different layers to a photo shoot. So what would you look for, or like maybe if someone was new, like if you're gonna give them that first chance, what would you kind of look for?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I would say just giving them a chance and just trying to go with the flow of things.
Okay.
So, giving them my inspiration board, or, telling them like, hey, we should put this board together. What do you have? What ideas do you have? Like, let me show you what I have. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. That goes perfectly into the next question. Do you like when photographers have mood or concept boards, or do you think it's better to improv day off? How do you kind of feel?
Ooh.
Yeah, everyone has a different mindset on that. Some people love to improv. Some people just like, hey, I need direction. I need a mood board.
Right.
I need to know what we're doing, or at least an idea, right? But
just because of my experience and working with directors in the past, I find that having a direction in the beginning is really important and keeps a good structure. It keeps the team organized. But also like going with the flow on the day of, and improving, because that's the fun of it all.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I feel you on that. Do you think it's important to meet with a photographer prior to shooting? Some people do. A lot of people don't. How do you kind of feel about that?
Well, for me, I just love meeting people.
Yeah.
So I would prefer doing that. But if it's something like long distance where I have to fly out, then I'm okay with just meeting them, day of, or doing like FaceTime. I mean, we have technology.
Yeah.
Why can't we meet?
That's true. Yeah, that is true. Yeah. Okay. So if a photographer reaches out to you, how should that initial first message sound? I guess like the theme that I've gotten so far from a lot of people that have asked is that, start with some kind of compliment, like why are you reaching out to that person? And then express your idea, why do you want that person to join your team or your shoot? How do you kind of feel about that? Like what should we say in that first DM that we send, or first email that we message you?
Well, to bring it back to my experience with you, it was just very casual. I think the way that you approached it wasn't awkward or uncomfortable. It's very personable, and I think that's how people should communicate, as far as like the photographers reaching out, whether it be a hairstylist, makeup artist, wardrobe. Just make it casual. And like, I know I'm throwing this word around a lot, but like, going with the vibe and going with, the other person and how they feel with each other.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. If a photographer is new, what do you think would help them when reaching out to a new hairstylist for the first time? I know we had kind of talked about this before on like, okay, if they're reaching out to you and stuff like that, and you were going to give them a first chance, but like, okay, if they're just starting out, like, what things could kind of help them? Like, what would a hairstylist that's okay, like this is the first time they're working with a new hairstylist or whatever, what kind of things would help? Like, I mean, I would imagine maybe like having pictures of hair and showcasing hair so you can see kind of what their skill set is. Even if they're new, they may not have a skill set or whatever, but like what kind of things would you say would kind of help them in that if they're not reaching out to you personally, like just a hairstylist?
Right.
Yeah, what do you think about that?
I would say, no, that really
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, we could like, okay, for example,
maybe.
This goes into another question as well, but, you know, we could go to like salons or something like that and start meeting people that work in the hair scene, going to hair shows, things of that nature. That's a place to meet people like that. But if we're going to reach out, so like say we like met someone there, we're just like, okay, I want to work with this person. Like, what should I do?
Right. Okay. Sorry.
I don't know what to, you know,
now.
I don't know what to do.
Right. Yeah, definitely just approach them and just be honest, like, hey, I really want to, work with you, and I've never done this before, but, I really appreciate your work.
Yeah.
And then giving that idea, like what's your vision? Tell me, like, what do you see? And then, also show me it, like, what do you have a board, etc. Okay,
yeah, fair enough, yeah. And then last and final question, where do you think, well, actually two more questions. As a hairstylist, where do you think are good places for photographers to find artists to collaborate with? Like I mentioned before, there's hair shows, but that's not in every city, I don't think, maybe. Or like, obviously we can kind of go and raid salons and just, business card or something, I don't know. Where do you think are good places for us to find new hairstylists to reach out to in town?
That is really tough,
Cause like, I don't know, I feel
it's a very small community, like, the collaboration with a hairstylist and a photographer.
Yeah.
I would say more of the shows. So like hair shows or maybe salons, but it really depends on the salon itself. So if the salon is more social media friendly, just open to the idea, because I know there's a lot of education out there right now for salons, and attending more of the educational classes might help with finding that photographer, finding a hairstylist to work with.
Yeah, so maybe not all salons are current with like Instagram and that kind of collaborative kind of mindset or whatever, so they may be rooted in their ways. Yeah, that makes sense, yeah. Because I don't know if we can just walk into a salon and be like, hey, who wants to shoot? I've never done that, I don't know, but maybe that could work. It could be an option for someone to get started. I have gone to MAC before to meet makeup artists, and I've worked with some of the makeup artists at Sephora and MAC, and I've met some people through that. That's kind of what I did when I first started, but yeah, I didn't do the whole Instagram thing in the beginning. I just was like, okay, where can I find these people? And I just went there, right? But yeah, I think hair shows, I've never been to a hair show personally, so I don't know what I would expect if I went to this big glam and spray and all this stuff going on stage. But I think that's a good point though. Yeah, finding a salon that's social media, maybe reaching out to the salon itself and then be like, hey, this is my idea. Yeah, that's cool.
May I add another note too?
Yeah.
Whatever brand you know of, like just like the large hair brands. Yeah. You can also reach out to them too, and that's something that I've done in the past, and it worked with me.
Oh, okay.
So.
Wow. Okay, I didn't know that.
Going straight to the director.
Yeah, to the top. Yeah. Okay. Oh, that's a big step. Okay. What are some of your pet peeves or turnoffs with working with a new photographer if you're working for the first time?
I would say maybe the unorganization.
Yeah.
But I understand that's, if it's a new photographer, they don't know like how to, get their entire, gear set up yet before the shoot. Preparation is like one of my big pet peeves, and timeliness. And I've talked to you in the past about that. I like really being punctual, and I think it's really important to be considerate of people's time.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, wow, that's great. Yeah, I got some really good insight on that. But those are the basic questions I wanted to ask. Is just like just kind of like little tips and tricks and where to find different hairstyles to reach out to, and as like maybe a collective, like what things normally I don't drive you. Your mindset, because everyone that's a certain kind of creative has a very different mindset and a different workflow on the way they approach tasks. Some people, you know, they like the more go with the flow. Some people are just like, they need more structure, and that variety and that variation is really good. Yeah, that's really good. It's helpful because yeah, in every demographic in every city, they're going to be different people, but it's also going to tailor with how you work as a photographer as well. What people you attract and you work well with, and there's that cohesive, that gel, you know, that vibe when you're on set. So yes, that was awesome. Those are the only questions I have. So that was our exclusive interview. I will leave her Instagram and her social media information in the description down below. If you're new here, please consider subscribing if you haven't already. We'd love to have you as part of our team and our family. Definitely leave a like and a comment in the description below. Let me know if you have any specific questions for her. I work with her all the time, so by all means, you know, let me know in the comments if you want me to ask a specific question that you'd like to find out, and I'll get a response for you guys. This is Devon Lennox, PhotographyPX. We'll see you in the next video. Peace out, my friends.